In that case, the ultimate purpose may not be to have a combined value of more than the individual value.
No, because see,
For
the tax benefit that you are talking about will reflect in terms of the combined value, no?
Okay.
Yeah, because tax advantage ultimately will accrue, so it will reflect into the combined value.
Okay.
है ना? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, good.
Sir, IBB differently, sir.
Yes, Surya.
Devang here. IBBI, they have given investment value is the purchase price of the investor.
Huh.
It also referred to as historical cost in accounting parlance. This is what the IBBA book says. Investment value is the purchase price of the investor. It is also referred to as historical cost in the accounting parlance.
Okay, so Surya, just be with me. Keep aside that definition. Okay, so just be with me. Okay, Devang, please go ahead. Yes, Devang. Devang, you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Can you make it simple what the investment value and the synergetic value? What's the difference?
Okay.
One line. Okay.
Okay. You want to know what is the difference between the synergistic value and the investment value. Okay. See, investment value is specifically to a specific buyer. In our example, somebody who is migrating and he wants to dispose of his educational institution, so who will have a specific interest in this property? Somebody who is in the education field will have a.
Now, Tata Motors example you give of a synergy value, it's also the same thing, no?
No, Devang. It is not the same thing. It is like this. I am into the field of education, and there is a the institution available for sale. I, as a person who is into the field of education, will be more interested into it than a builder. And why is that so? That is because for me, if I purchase this institution, I will be able to expand my activities just in a day's time. So I have a specific value. Synergistic value, Devang, please pay attention. Synergistic value, what is synergy? Let's understand. Synergy is 1 plus 1 is not equal to 2. 1 plus 1 is equal to 11. That is synergy. So when the two entities combine together, the combined value of these two entities is going to be more than the aggregate of the individual entities together. So that is the synergistic value.
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Okay, good. All right. So let's move to the next, friends, premises. Anybody would like to tell me what you understand by premises and what are the premises of valuation? Anyone?
It is like a presumption before making the valuation exercise.
Very good.
That the company will be running forever, or it's kind of a going concern, or it may be liquidated.
Very good. I think you are right. Absolutely. So, what is a premise? Remember, whenever we are doing valuation, the valuation has to be on some basis. What that basis can be? That basis can be two. Number one, the valuation can be as a going concern. So the one premise is going concern. So going concern is one premise. That means the business which I have to value is a running company and is going to run for all the times to come. So I will be doing the valuation of this company as a going concern. So the premise of valuation here is going concern. What can be the second situation? The second premise of valuation can be liquidation. So that means there is a company which I have to value is going for liquidation. So if it is going for liquidation, my approach to valuation is going to be different, isn't it? Are you with me? So when it is the premise, please understand why the valuation premise becomes important. Valuation premise becomes important because that will make you decide what approach to use, what method of valuation to use. If it is a going concern, what I will use? I will use the income method for the valuing of this business or this asset. But if it is a company which is going in for liquidation, then will I use the income method? The answer is no. And why the answer is no? Because this company is going in for liquidation, is going to close down. So since it is going to close down, obviously income is of no consequence. What is of consequence is value of the assets that the company has. So these are two premises. Premise number one is going concern value, and the second is liquidation value. And this is what you should remember. And remember, there are always a question on the premise. Which of the following is not the premise, or which of the following is the premise of valuation? So they'll give you 4 options, and you will need to pick up either of these two, going concern or the liquidation value. So understand, as I said in the beginning, understand the purpose, understand the logic. So what is the logic? The logic is when you want to do the evaluation, you need to find out what is the basis on which valuation is to be done. What can be the basis? What can be, a company can be only in 2 situations. Either it is a running company or it is a company which is going for liquidation. So depending on whether it is a going concern, then I will do my premise of valuation is going to be going concern value. If this company is going in for liquidation, then my premise for the valuation is going to be liquidation value. How does it matter? It matters because depending on the premise of the valuation, my approach, the approach that I would apply will be decided. The method of valuation that we will discuss in due course will decide. So this is your going concern value and the liquidation value. Right. Let's now move to purpose and process of valuation. So I would like all of you, Puneet ji, आपने कुछ बोला नहीं. Puneet ji, you have not spoken anything. So would you like to tell me how would you think is the process of valuation and the purpose of valuation?
Process depends on the basis whether it's going concern or liquidation value. So the process will be decided accordingly, I suppose.
Okay.
And, purpose of valuation is to arrive at a value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Ankit, what is purpose? What is process? Okay, Varun, would you like to take this question? What is purpose and the process of valuation? Okay. Sanjay, would you like to take this question?
Yes.
What is
So purpose? What I understand that the entity which are going to value will concern under liquidation. If it is my approach will differ, and if it is liquidation, my approach again will differ.
Right? Okay. So friends, what I'm asking you, and I want you to think about it. My question to all of you is, what is the purpose of valuation? That means,
I would like to answer, sir.
yeah,
I
sure,
would like to answer.
sure. Please, Suja, go ahead.
Yeah. Purpose may differ. I can do it for India's requirement. I can do it for the purpose of investment. I can do it for sale.
Yeah.
I can do it for purchase. I can do it for any other reason.
Absolutely.
The purpose may be different.
Right.
So based on the purpose,
Yes.
the process of valuation will differ.
Absolutely. Very good.
Because you cannot say a single tablet for your valuation. the tablet and dosage, everything will vary according to the purpose.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent, Surya. Excellent. So, friends, the question that we are discussing now, what are the purposes for which valuations are done? And valuation can be done for many things. Valuation can be done for merger, acquisition, slump sale, takeover, or it can be done for legal compliance. It can be done for the purpose of financial reporting. It can be done for the family settlement. So there can be many, it can be done for the transfer pricing. So the valuation, remember, can be done for many things actually. And why it is important for us to understand what are the purpose of valuation. Number one, it gives us an idea as to what is the scope of professional growth that we have once we become a registered valuer. So that is number one. Number two, based on the purpose, again you will decide as to which approach to adopt and which method to adopt for the purpose of valuation. And this is, friends, now what we will discuss as to what can be the purpose for the valuation and what can be the process for the valuation.
The
Okay.
value will differ based on the purpose. It
Yeah.
will not be X value for all purposes.
Right. Okay.
The value may not be uniform. It will subject to differ.
Say for example.
If you are coming and asking me
Hmm.
to do valuation on liquidation,
Hmm.
my value will be different.
Right.
If otherwise, if you are coming and selling, I will choose the best, highest in best use. I will go.
Right.
Accordingly, I will value.
Right. Okay. Okay. Very good. Very
Even
good.
a land, I have a building.
Hmm.
Because of some court requirement or liquidation purpose or the bank seizing purpose, if you ask me to value, my value will be different. Or if you come for other purpose, the particular building I can use it for commercial purpose, or a particular building I can use it for residential purpose. Therein, I have a more circle. Out of that, what is the best for me? If I do it for, commercial value, I can argue with them, I can tell them, because the road width is so much, it is heart of the place, you can construct a commercial building, all that I can say. But if it is liquidation, the options are very limited to me.
Right. Very good. Very good, Surya. Very good. Excellent. So that is what now we need to understand as to what are the purposes, and based on the purpose will depend as to what method to use and what approach to use for the purpose of valuation. So where does this process starts? The process of the valuation, remember, starts from understanding the purpose of valuation. And as we discussed a little while ago, remember the purpose can be many, and it can be for the purpose of legal compliance, it can be for the purpose of corporate transaction, it can be for the purpose of reporting, it can be for the purpose of family settlement and whatnot. So first of all, we need to be very clear as to what is the purpose for which this valuation is to be done. Then we need to identify the premise of the valuation. And I'm sure you would remember two premises of the valuation. Number one, going concern value. Number two, liquidation value. So once you know the purpose for which the valuation is to be done, it would be very easy for you. Immediately you will know whether I have to use the liquidation premise or I have to use the going concern premise. So the second thing is you decide the premise. Then you have to look at the determining the standard of value, right? So we discussed those standards of value. Number one, fair value. Number two, fair market value. And please remember, and I'm purposely telling this, fair market value or market value are commonly used interchangeably. So when you are doing your preparation, you should never get confused. Is the fair market value and the market value are different? No, they're not different. They are same. They are used interchangeably. I have explained to you the difference between the fair value and the fair market value. Then you have a investment value. Then you have intrinsic value.
I have one question here.
Yep.
You please tell me whether my understanding is correct.
Mm-hmm.
You quoted the third item, determining the standard value.
Yeah.
Now, I am doing valuation for the purpose of income tax.
Mm-hmm.
I will take only the market value.
Yeah.
Am I correct? Because the income tax, they are defining the valuation is not as per fair value, it is as per fair market value. If I do it for any accounting purposes, I will do on the basis of the fair value. Are you referring that? Are you telling something else in the third category, determining the standard value? What exactly you are referring?
It's like this. There are 5 standards of value.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a fair value, you got a fair market value, you got an intrinsic value, and you got a investment value, and you got a synergistic value. So what you need to understand, Surya, you need to understand as to which are the 5 standards of value that you need to understand, and depending on the situation that you are in, depending on the purpose that you are in, you will need to decide as to which of these standards will need to be applied here.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, okay, very good. And so after determining the standard of value, then we come to the 4th stage. And what is 4th stage? It is EIC analysis through collection of information and details. Now friends, please remember, as I said earlier, what are you doing in valuation? You do not have to study the valuation in isolation. Valuation you have to understand and learn as a holistic picture. What is the holistic picture? Holistic picture is you are a qualified registered valuer. You have received an assignment for valuation of an entity. So now what is that you are supposed to do? You are supposed to find out value of that company. How will you find out the value of the company? You will find out the value of the company, as I said earlier, by finding out as to at the end of the day, how much am I going to get in my hand? So that means what? That means everything will need to be converted in terms of cash. If you have to convert everything in terms of cash, then what you need to do? You need to do EIC analysis. What is EIC analysis?
Long form of EIC analysis, sir.
Huh?
A long form of EIC analysis.
Yeah, I'm explaining. I'm telling you, Surya. So EIC, you will have to do the EIC analysis. And what is EIC analysis? Remember, it's very simple. E stands for economy, I stands for industry, and C stands for company. And friends, I'm sure you can very easily understand why EIC analysis is important if you understand why the valuation is to be done. Valuation is to be done for somebody has to take a decision. If he has to take a decision, he has to find how much it is worth for me. If you have to find the worth of an entity, you need to find out how much cash it is going to give you over its life, whatever it may be. So what do you do? EIC analysis, and we will be doing understanding in detail as to what is EIC analysis and how do you do EIC analysis. As a matter of fact, friends, this EIC analysis, and please pay attention, has to be expanded further. And how it is to be expanded further? It needs to be expanded further and it needs to be made GEIC. So what does G stands for? G stands for global. So if you want to do the evaluation, in certain cases, you may not have to only look at the local economy. You may also need to look at the global economy. So as a valuer, you will need sometimes, you may need to do not merely EIC analysis. And EIC is economy, industry and company. You may need to do GEIC analysis. That means together with economy, industry and company, you will also need to understand the global environment. And that is what is GEIC EIC analysis or GEIC analysis. Please remember, as far as your exam is concerned, most of the information will be given to you readily in the question paper. So there would be case studies, and for those case studies, whatever information is required is all given to you. What is discount rate, what is cost of capital, what is cash flow, everything is given to you. But in real life, when you become a valuer, you will need to find out everything by yourself. And therefore, it becomes important for all of us to understand the entire process, because then it will not only help us in passing the exam, it will also help us in doing well in the industry when you join it as a registered valuer. So after doing the EIC analysis, the next stage is selection of appropriate valuation approach and the methodology. So we will also understand as to what are the approaches. At this point in time, friends, I can tell you, and please pay attention. So there are 3 approaches to valuation. Okay, please pay attention. There are 3 approaches to valuation. Approach number 1, income approach. Approach number 2, asset approach. Approach number 3, market approach. So that means what? Very simple. You want to do valuation of an entity depending on what is the purpose, depending on what is the premise, depending on these factors, you decide as to whether to use income approach, whether to use market approach, or to use the asset approach. Please also remember and pay attention. Asset approach or cost approach are same. So sometimes when you are reading from the book would read sometime asset approach, sometimes it would read as cost approach. So you might get confused. You do not have to get confused. It is very simple. It means sometimes these two terms are used interchangeably. What is income approach? What is cost approach? What is market approach? Of course, we are going to discuss as we move forward. But for the moment, understand these 3 approaches. And under these 3 approaches, there are different methodologies. And what those methodologies are, also we would be discussing as we move forward. So now once you complete these 5 stages, so you have understanding of the purpose, you have identified the premise of valuation, you have determined the standard of value, you have done the EIC analysis, and by doing all this, now you have also applied the approach and the methodology. This will lead you to the value, right? So this process will lead you to the value. How will that happen? This is what we are going to understand together. Always remember.
Sir, I'm very sorry.
Yes, Ankit.
Was a little bit down for moments. Sir, IEC analysis, can you, sir, throw light again, sir? Because my net was a little bit poor, so I was not able to listen the full IEC analysis.
No, okay.
Only IEC.
Okay. So EIC analysis, Ankit, E stands for economy, I stands for industry, and C stands for company. So when you have to do valuation of a company, you will need to have an understanding of what is happening in the economy, what is happening in the industry to which this company belongs, and then you will also need to do the analysis of the company itself. So this is your EIC analysis. And again,
Okay, thanks.
Again, friends, please remember, this is a again question possibility. So you can get a question. EIC stands for EIC. In EIC, E stands for what? Economy, engineer, evaluation, efficiency, right? So those 4 options can be given. Now that you have heard me, I am sure you will remember E stands for economy, and that's how you will be able to answer this question. Okay. So let's now quickly understand the purposes of the valuation. So remember, What can be the purposes for valuation? Transaction. It can be corporate structuring, mergers and amalgamations, IPOs, buyback, buyout, sales or purchase of assets, tangible as well as intangible assets. So that is what can happen as transaction. Other than that, it can be reverse merger, it can be recapitalization, participation by a new investor, it can be a leverage buyout LBO, it can be disinvestment, it can be ESOP, it can be project planning. For all this, friends, remember you will need to do valuation. It can be the valuation can be done for compliance under FEMA, compliance under the transfer pricing, compliance under income tax, compliance under SEBI. So for the compliance also you will need to do valuation. It can be for financial reporting. So in case of financial reporting, it can be for impairment testing, it can be for purchase price allocation under the Ind AS 103, which is on business combination, and it can be fair value reporting under the IFRS, US GAAP or Ind AS. So under the financial reporting also you may need to do valuation. It may be for litigation in case of bankruptcy, in case of shareholders dispute, marital dissolution, intellectual property dispute. That's again you will require the valuation. Under the financial report, it can also be for the estate planning. It can also be for the personal financial planning that you need to do the valuation. It can be ownership dispute, contractual dispute, and so many things actually. So the screen that you see on your the slide that you see on your screen, friends, gives you an idea as to what kind of potential it has for you in future once you become a registered valuer.
LBO, can you tell me the full form, sir?
Yes, so Surya, it is leveraged buyout.
Okay, fine.
It's leveraged buyout.
Okay.
It's still impairment testing.
Okay. We are going to cover that. We have Ind AS 36, which is on impairment testing. What is impairment testing? As per Ind AS 36, on the date of balance sheet, you as an entity is supposed to test your assets for impairment. That means you need to find out as to whether value of a particular asset is at least equal to the carrying amount. So if the value of an asset is less than the carrying amount, that means there is an impairment, and that impairment loss needs to be recorded. So how can you find out there is an impairment? You can find out there is an impairment only by doing the valuation. So that is your impairment testing. Does it answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So now, friends, we go to the next chapter, and the next chapter is financial statement analysis. But before we go to the next chapter, in case if any one of you have any doubt, you can please ask me.
So what is bargain?
What is?
Sir, can I have a question?
Yeah, of all of you will have a question. Yep.
Can I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Venkat.
Yes,
You
Venkat.
said Going concern valuation and the liquidation valuation. Now, I have a practical issue here, but it is applicable to plant and machinery by independent valuers, where a company which was in going concern, when it went in liquidation, there was not much change in the valuation report given by the independent valuers. Despite the fact, as everybody knows, practically the liquidation value is hardly